This is the Coming Home Podcast with John Allen. And welcome everybody to this episode of the Coming Home Podcast with John Allen. It's me, voice only. You guys are probably wondering what happened to the video versions that you guys watch on YouTube. Well, I'm just taking a little bit of a break. I didn't want to disappear like a lot of people do during the holidays, but I am taking a break in that I am giving myself a little bit less of post-production to do. So that's why it's just audio versions. Now, you can still go to YouTube on my YouTube channel and listen to this, and there'll be a series of still photos instead of a running video. So I'm still there on YouTube, and maybe the next episode, or at least at the latest by the first of the year, I'll be back to video episodes. I'm just taking a little bit of a break. That's okay, isn't it? Yeah. I want to let you guys know, I've already mentioned this a little bit on my social media about the Loyal Oak Hands project that I'm doing right now. Thank you to Solveig Sæther for the fantastic idea to do this. Loyal Oak Hands, Hands. Go to my website, www.johnallenpod.com. That's JOHNALANPOD.com, and then on the menu, Loyal Oak Hands. And there you will see some information about what we're doing. I'm trying to shine a light on people who need help. There are a lot of people who need help, but they never are. They don't get heard, they don't get seen, and that means they don't get help. So I'm shining a light on some people that need our help, and I ask that people go there, check it out, see what it's all about, give if you can, but at the very least, if you hear me talking about this right now, at the very least, share the link to Loyal Oak Hands at my website. Again, that's johnallenpod.com, and then Loyal Oak Hands on the menu. Share that link to Loyal Oak Hands and put it out there on social media so that people can help. What you're about to hear now, I'm going to stop talking, and what you're going to hear now is some excerpts. That's a cool word, excerpts from my radio program, which is called Comin Home with John Allen. And on that program, that was my Christmas broadcast on my FM radio program called Comin Home with John Allen. And I'm talking with two guests. I won't tell you who they are. You'll just have to listen, and then you'll see. One is a fellow American here in Norway, and the other is a surprise appearance. You guys know who the other person is. Just listen. We're talking about Christmas and how people experience it. We're having a little bit of fun with the topic, but that is what today's podcast episode is. It's excerpts. I love that word, excerpts from my FM radio program. My radio program is called Comin Home with John Allen. It is an FM radio program that is broadcast from here in Norway. However, there is a live stream that you can listen to, and that live stream, you can listen to that wherever you are in the world. It's a worldwide live stream, so I guess you could say I have a worldwide radio program. You guys can listen to it anywhere. Go to my social media, go to my website. You'll find information about where you can listen to that program, whether it's on the FM dial or if it's a live stream. You can also, wherever you're listening to this podcast episode, if it's at Spotify, if it's at iTunes or Apple Podcasts, or if it's on YouTube, in the description of this episode, you will see information on how to get your ears onto my FM radio broadcast. Okay? Here we go. Here's today's episode. Happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Whatever you celebrate or don't celebrate, I'm sending you love. Remember that. I'm sending you love. Here you go. There you have it. The theme song to Comin Home with John Allen. That lets you know that you're listening to Comin Home with John Allen. How y'all doing today? Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah. I'm a little late on that one, but the joy is here, the love is here. Thank you all for listening in. This is Fresh FM 24. Besides it being Christmas, we're going to have pretty much a normal show. The first hour of this broadcast will be talk radio with a little bit of music in between. I've got a couple different guests that I'm going to be talking with today. Make sure that you stick around, because at the top of the hour, for the second hour, we're going to roll into some smooth R&B, soul, maybe a little bit of jazz, definitely a little bit of funk. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in on this broadcast of Coming Home with John Allen. I have with me on the telephone another American, another Black American here in Norway, Mr. Derek J. Singleton. Derek, my brother, how you doing?
Great, outstanding, John. How you doing?
You know, I couldn't have it any better than what I have it right now. I'm incredibly fortunate to have the family that I have, to have the friends that I have, to have this platform, to be able to speak to people like you. You know, it's the Christmas season, it's the holiday season. I'm in the spirit of giving, so life is good for me, man. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I got to piggyback on that because the same here. I'm here at my in-laws' house in the west coast of Norway in a little town called Hardeid. It's near Ålesund. It's Sunnmøringland, and it's such a beautiful place to be this time of year because we have the fjord right in front of the house with the huge mountains that basically engulfs us, and it kind of feels like we're in a little valley-ish, and the mountains are all covered in snow, and there's a blending of greenery, and as you go further higher, it's the snow. It's just amazing, and family is here, and I mean, I couldn't ask for a better Christmas, you know.
I love it, man. Well, that's two of us who are counting our blessings. That's
Absolutely.
That's good to hear. And you're in a beautiful part of the country, by the way. You know, Norway in general is quite beautiful, but that part of the West Coast, man, it's pretty dramatic with the Alpine mountains coming right down to the water. And
absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, as we said, there's a lot of Americans that would pay big money to see this, you know, and this is something that I do routinely, you know, throughout the year.
Well, you know, I've been here in Norway for 20 years, and every time we go to our place up north, up on Seiland, I still get that feeling. You know, I can't believe that this. You know, is this really mine? You know, do I get to
live here? It's like an aha moment every time.
Yeah. So it never gets boring. It never gets boring.
Absolutely.
So how do you experience Christmas in Norway? You know, do you and your wife, do you guys alternate celebrating it in the Norwegian way one year and then the American way the next year? How does that work in your house?
No, John. I'm actually a unique individual when it comes to that. I consider myself like a chameleon. I adapt to my environment.
There you go.
And since my wife and I have been together for 26 years, ever since we met, since June '95, you know, my Christmases has been geared towards the Norwegian culture. And really? I basically just gave up the whole American culture of Christmas.
So you did that. You did that even when you were living with your wife in the States then, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Okay. Our daughter had a difficult time with that compared to, because I have other kids from a previous marriage, and on top of my other kids, my neighbor's kids, because we celebrated a Norwegian type of Christmas, which means she opened up her presents the night before.
Right.
So, you know, neighborhood kids weren't allowed to come over. They can't open their gifts until the morning of the 25th.
Now, I've
heard like that.
I've heard of other Americans, you know, kind of adapt the Norwegian way of doing it, either all out adapting it or alternating.
Right.
Like I said, one year, but that's Americans living in Norway. But you adapted the Norwegian way even while you were in the States. That's very unique. That's very unique.
Oh yeah. And to me, it if it's anything about being intimately involved in the Norwegian culture and now living here, if it's anything that gave me the aha moments. You know, you kind of look down I call it a stovepipe of your own culture. And if you're not culturally aware, you think that's the best way and the only way to do business, right?
Right.
But when I looked at this Norwegian culture with respect to Christmas, it just made sense. It made sense that the evening of the 24th, there's a big dinner and family is over, and then we all sit there and enjoy the kids opening the presents in a method in a very sequential way and organized fashion. I just think, and then we're all sitting in a sofa near the Christmas tree, drinking some coffee or whatever at that point and having dessert while that's happening. And then I reflect on American type Christmas where for the most part, a lot of the parents, at least my experience, they dead tired at 6, 7 in the morning, Christmas morning. So we're just down there ripping open presents, and you, as a kid, you're in your own world doing that, and nothing else matters. Got it? But waking up that early as a parent who probably spent till 1, 2, 3 in the morning putting toys together, they kind of comatose early in the morning.
I tell you,
it's not a family affair.
It is a little rough sometimes
in the morning.
Yeah.
But using this approach in Norway, it's a family affair. It really is, all at the same time. So it made sense to me.
See, and that's just very interesting to me that you totally 100% jumped into the Norwegian way of doing it. It's always been I almost said it's been a compromise here in our house, but I don't want to use that word because It's been with focus on culture, with focus on family, we've consciously adapted our family life to both celebrations of Christmas by alternating 1 year the Norwegian way, 1 year the American way. And that way we kind of gave our kids, a view of both aspects of their heritage and culture.
Absolutely. I mean, our daughter Amanda, who lived in the States for a significant amount of years, she was automatically exposed to it. Even though in our own little cubby hole of a house, we celebrated, for example, Christmas the Norwegian way. She's still ultimately exposed to American culture because she's living in it.
Sure. Sure.
So, and like I said, I'm one of those. I didn't come from a very strong traditional background.
No.
So I'm that type of person that a woman from another country who is very strict about her culture and traditions, I guess you could say I was the right man for her because I adapt.
Well, isn't that what marriage is all about? Especially when you're from two different countries, it's a matter of give and take, flexibility, understanding and whatnot. So you guys just kind of meshed together from the get-go.
Absolutely,
when it comes to that.
We really did.
Yeah,
absolutely. And but yeah, it's like I said, it just made sense to me. And my other kids, they actually asked their moms at some point when they were younger. I remember my oldest daughter telling me, who's 33, if they could open up presents like Amanda at on the evening of the 24th, and my ex-wife was like, oh no.
I love it. I love it. No, well, I tell you, there is something charming about the Norwegian way of doing it. Santa Claus, or the julenisse, as they call him here in Norway, actually comes into the house, and the kids get to see him and talk to him. And some people say, I've heard other Americans or other non-Norwegians say, well, doesn't that take away the mystique around Santa Claus? And my answer is, no, it doesn't. It actually makes it even more mysterious because they actually get to see this bigger than life figure in their tiny little minds, and now here it is, and it gives them something. I remember, my kids are older now, but when they were little, I can remember, we would have a neighbor, dress up or whatever. And actually, one year my wife actually dressed up, and she still fooled them. But anyway, I remember seeing that look in their eyes, just that absolute fascination, that absolute wonder, and you can't beat that. When you see that light in your kids' eyes, you just can't beat it.
And I like the word you used, the mystique, because in the U.S. culture, this Santa Claus is a mystique, and in most Hollywood movies and cartoon series, about Santa Claus, it's so mystique that it's an all-out hunt to catch and trap Santa Claus, and I guess that's the game around it. Yeah. But here it's more all-inclusive because Santa is actually sharing
Yes.
the celebration of Christmas with the family.
Yes.
And again, I had an aha moment. That makes so much sense. It's kind of all inclusive. Santa is actually somehow in everyone's house at the same time, enjoying Christmas with the family.
Well, I have to say, one of the most charming things about Norwegian society, and it's not perfect here. People ask me all the time, is it better than America? Is it worse? It's neither nor. It's just different.
Right.
And there are some incredibly charming aspects about Norwegian culture, and one of them is the way in which they celebrate Christmas. It's very charming. And again, to see that look in the children's eyes when they actually get to see him, not at a department store sitting on his lap, but actually in the home.
In the home. It's very personable.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Listen, Derek, man, we could be talking about this forever and ever, but I have to take a music break right now.
Gotcha.
Can I invite you to come back on my show for a longer conversation? I'd like to have you as a featured guest.
John, absolutely. It will be an honor and a blessing to participate again in a longer venue. Absolutely.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. We're going to make that happen. And for anybody who's listening, it's going to come up shortly after the new year. I'm just going to make sure that we make this happen, Derek. Thank you so much for gracing my show for these few minutes. I want to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas, and I send you much love, my brother.
Absolutely, and as we say here in Norway, det var hyggelig å snakke med deg.
Det var kjempehyggelig å snakke med deg. Yeah, there we go. Little Norwegian, people.
There you go.
For our international listeners, hey, me and Derek, we got this Norwegian thing down, as you can hear. Thanks again, Derek, and thanks everybody for listening so far. Let's take a little music break here, and I'll be right back. This is Coming Home with John Allen, and you're listening to me on Fresh FM 24. Here's The Temptations with Silent Night. And we're back to that part of the show where there's another block of conversation, and my guest sitting with me in the studio now, not by telephone, but here in her illustrious presence, the infamous, more famous than infamous? I don't know. Anyway, her name, I call her Snoopy. She's my wife. Hi, Snoop.
Hello, Miss Reese. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'll do better if you speak more into the microphone.
Oh, really?
There you go. We want to talk about alcohol and drugs in the home. If you're single, or let's say if you don't have kids and you're with your buddies or your girlfriends, friends, and you want to tip back a few, you want to smoke this, that, or the other, that's your business, and you may have a great time doing that, but that all changes if there are children in the home.
Yep.
1 out of 10 children in Norway will have their Christmas or their entire holiday season ruined because of parents who are getting drunk or high during the holidays. So this is a big issue.
It's a very big issue, and it just breaks my heart knowing that goes on. This is the season to be jolly, right? And
somebody put that in a song.
That's correct. And all these kids that have parents that drinks or uses drugs when they shouldn't. That's just not a good holiday for them. The thing is that kids, they notice when parents change, and you do change. People do change after drinking alcohol or using drugs.
Isn't it very selfish of the adult that they don't consider the well-being and the Christmas experience or the holiday experience for their child, that they'll be so selfish as to drink to the point to where they are actually noticeably drunk?
Yeah, but here's a very important thing. Kids, they are specialists in nonverbal communication.
That's true.
And they're better than you and me in that field. So when their parents, who they're used to maybe if let's say these are parents that don't really have an alcohol problem, like a diagnosis of an alcohol problem, but they drink maybe once in the summer and for Christmas, they will notice the difference, and that makes them unsure.
And to me, that makes it an alcohol problem. I said this before we turned on the microphone during the break here. I said, if you've never drunk for the entire year, but if you're drunk on the 25th of December and your 5-6-year-old child is looking at you and experiencing you being drunk during their Christmas celebration, then that's an alcohol problem.
Yeah, that
not in the traditional sense, not in the traditional sense, but in that moment, that is an alcohol problem. That poor child. Yep.
It's the adults. It's their job to stay sober. It's their job to make sure that child has a good Christmas. I don't care if you don't have money for gifts or the best food. But you know what? That's not what the kids remember.
That's true.
The kids remembers the adult that is supposed to love them and care for them. They remember their presence, how they are, how
and they're
they
certainly
talk,
going to remember it
that.
if those things are not in place.
Oh my goodness, yes.
They're certainly going to remember it.
And there's so many stories about
kids having to decorate the tree by themselves because mom and dad are laid up on the couch with a hangover.
Yeah, or too drunk, or parents who fight because one is too drunk, or they both are drunk or high, and the kids are in the middle of that. Maybe they're hiding in the rooms. Maybe they're trying to go in between them, and that's not a Christmas that kids needs. And it's the social service, barnevernsvakt, the what do you call that? In
Department
English.
of Child and Family Services, for example.
Yeah. You know, they're kind of busy.
They're very
Christmas.
busy. Yeah, they're very busy during Christmas. I remember when I was doing that kind of work, both as a police officer and as someone who worked for Child and Family Services at different moments here in Norway. It is a busy time of the year because there are parents who are dropping the ball. There are parents who are not following up on their duties as parents for their children. Like I said, just imagine, a 7-year-old girl who has to decorate the tree by herself because her parents are hungover or actually drunk. That happens. That's not just a cliche. That really happens.
Yeah, or cook.
So
or
what can be done to make these adults, or adults in general, more aware of the need for focus on kids?
I think it is education and education and education and
information.
knowledge.
Yeah,
information.
Yeah.
That is what, because I can already hear people.
Can you say education again?
Education.
That's not how you say it. Yeah. Whatever. Anyway.
So anyway, I can already hear a bunch of Norwegians saying, "Oh, but it's no big deal. Couple of beers or a couple of glasses of wine."
But again,
I'm
kids,
fine with that.
These kids are better at picking up the nonverbal communication, and they notice. They see the change.
They notice. And what kind of signal do you give to your kids when every time there's a holiday you have to bring out that alcohol? So you can't celebrate without alcohol? Is that what you're teaching them?
And again, I don't think I said it yet, but I want to say that I don't want to preach to adults and tell them what to do and how to handle their lives. I'm not going to preach to you or tell you how to live, but I am going to point to this issue. I am going to shine a light on this issue, that the children are the ones who are drastically, dramatically, and traumatically affected by that kind of behavior from adults. And I think a lot of the figures say 1 in 10 kids here in Norway. I bet you it's more than that.
Probably.
There's a lot of selfish adults out there, a lot of selfish parents who just, it's Christmas. I'm going to have, this is my time. Well, it's your time, but it's also your child's time. And
I would say, I'm going to stop you there.
Because
me. You know what? Christmas, that's really the children's time. It really is. You know, I mean, the adults, yeah, it's cozy and nice and all that, but they can decide to have a nice dinner and have their wine or the beer any time of the year. The kids cannot.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get any argument from me on that point. That's what I'm saying, is that can't the parents just keep those children in focus? There are some parents who will say, well, this is my time as well. You know, the kids are in bed. The kids are in bed by 8:00. So now let's party. Yeah, but what about the morning after?
Well, not only that.
What about the morning after?
Well, what about in the middle of the night when the child wakes up because they're so excited to look at the Christmas gifts or has to pee or something, and then you see the parents laying on the floor puking?
But it's those little what-ifs that a lot of adults don't consider.
I know.
And it's those little what-ifs that if they fall in place and the child experiences it, that's a stain on that child's psyche that will be there for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. And the thing is that nowadays, people should know better. People should know better.
The information is out there.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of willful ignorance, and that comes from selfishness.
Yeah. Or maybe they do have a alcohol problem, like a diagnosis.
That's true. Now, talking on the other side of this, we're talking about people who are just selfish and have an alcohol problem in that moment when they're drinking in front of their child, which I think during Christmas especially is an alcohol problem. But okay, now let's talk about the people who are addicted. Addiction, I've spoken about this many times before on my podcast. Addiction is understandable. Addiction happens, but addiction should be dealt with. That's the issue.
To get there.
There is help to be had. There's support systems. There are people and institutions who care and who have the ability to help you. If you're out there listening, whether you're here in Norway or if you're listening to this on the live stream worldwide, there's help out there. At the very least, just reach out and talk to some friends and family members and find some peace, at least for these days during the holidays. You know, if you can't bring yourself to start some sort of a treatment program or reach out to some sort of institution now, fine. But use your support circle, your friends and family, to help you get through this holiday season, not only for yourself, but also for your children. And then pick up the rehab or pick up the treatment or pick up the counseling after the holidays, but do it. The longer you wait, the harder it's going to be to do something about it.
And the more damage it's going to be to the kids.
And the more damage it's going to be to the kids. Amen. I'm sitting here talking with Snoopy live in the studio. We're talking about the holidays. Let's see what direction we take after the music break. Let me play a little song here. This is Coming Home with John Allen. You're listening on Fresh FM 24. How about some James Brown and Santa Claus Goes Straight to the Ghetto? I like it. Clarence Carter with Backdoor Santa. Do you like that, Snoopy? Y'all should see her. She's blushing all through them beautiful cheekbones of hers. This is Coming Home with John Allen. You're listening on Fresh FM 24. We're talking about Christmas, y'all. Stick around because remember, at the top of the hour, we're going to go back to the music portion of the show, and it's going to be an hour of smooth soul, R&B, a little bit of jazz, a little bit of funk. I want you to kick back, put your feet up, enjoy the holiday season, and enjoy the music. So, Snoopy, up through the years, we've kind of flipped back and forth between the American-style Christmas and celebrating it in the Norwegian way. Now, everybody knows the American style. You know, you wake up, you open the presents, kids play with the presents, you have a breakfast, you get visitors or you go visit the in-laws and the family and whatnot, and so on and so forth. And that happens on the 25th. You, with your ultra Norwegian Valkyrie self, you have from day one really, really pushed the Norwegian traditions.
Of course. Where do we live?
Huh?
What country do we live in?
Last time I checked, it was Norway.
Yeah, of course. So then we follow Norwegian traditions.
You guys
when in Rome, you do as the Romans, right?
Now, I thought we were in Norway. Now you're talking about Rome. What's up?
It's the same thing.
It's just, really, same thing.
Same thing. When in Norway, you do as the Norwegians. End of story.
Yeah, lutefisk with pasta, right?
With pasta.
Well, you just said it's the same as Italy.
Oh, gosh. whatever.
You guys see? You guys hear what I have to put up with? It is hard. It's very difficult for me. Let me gather myself and see if I can continue. So no, but you do. And I was talking with Derek about this earlier today. You guys have some very charming Christmas traditions, and it keeps the kids younger, longer, more innocent. More innocent, longer. Yeah. It feeds their sense of wonder, their sense of
fantasy.
Yeah, fantasy and the mystical and whatnot. It's kind of charming.
Oh gosh, I just love it. I love it when kids really believe in all these Santa and we have we call them nisser, and we have we don't only have Santa Claus, we have all the different, what do you call it? Nisser in English.
like elves, like his helpers, like his surrogates, yeah.
Well, they live all over the place. Remember? Yeah. Up in, when we lived up north?
Yeah, the one that lives in the barn is called the fjøsnisse.
Yeah, he is very important to take care of, because you know why? He makes sure that the animals in the barn are doing well. Now, if you forget to feed him on Christmas Eve, he's gonna prank you big time.
Now, what do you feed him? Ribeye steak porridge with potato wedges and rice?
Nope. On Christmas Eve, on the 24th, in the middle of the day, it is a tradition to eat porridge. So you have to make porridge with butter, sugar, and cinnamon, and carry that out to the barn for fjøsnissen. And remember, I used to do that with the kids. And they were carrying that porridge.
Oh, they believed it. They were right with you. They were.
Oh yeah. And the cute thing is that when we moved down south, our son and both our kids, they were so worried about fjøsnissen because he was not going to get any porridge.
When we moved down here to the city, we don't have a barn.
I know. They poor kids. So I actually had to call the neighbor up there.
I remember that, yeah.
And he had to talk with them and promise them.
Thank you, Knut.
Thank you, Knut. So that he would feed fjøsnissen. And he took pictures of it and sent to them.
I remember
all
that.
He fed the fjøsnissen. And
I remember that.
They could relax then. Yep. So that is
Talk
important.
about being innocent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then
do you know there's some people out there though that say that, shame on you parents for, and I put this in air quotes, for lying to your children about Santa Claus and Christmas. There's people who actually think that way. There's people who actually say that.
But here's
what do you say to them?
You know what I say to them? I never lied. Who said that Santa Claus and fjøsnissen doesn't exist? Who says that?
My wife is crazy, you guys.
Who says that? Can you prove that he does not exist?
Oh, gosh. Anyway, a more serious answer would be, what's wrong with letting your children have a sense of adventure, a sense of fantasy?
Well, they had fun for all these years.
Sure. Sure they did.
And it's, when we walk out in the woods, we can see where Nissen lives underneath the tree roots and all that stuff.
She actually believes this.
It's so exciting. It is. I love it. I just love it.
She loves it, as you can tell.
And also, remember, there's trolls out there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sluktrollet.
What is that? Tell them what that is.
The drainage troll. So that.
See, these are things that these are things that, for those who are not Norwegian, these are things that back home in the States, everybody's heard about the Grimm's fairy tales and all that stuff. And actually, most of the versions of these different fairy tales, like Little Red Riding Hood and Humpty Dumpty and whatnot, these things are, Hansel and Gretel, these things are kind of censored so that they're less gruesome than what they actually are in their original form. So here in Norway, to tell our kids to stay away from, we had a well cover on our property when we were living up north, way out in the country. So Snoopy told the kids that there was a troll in there and they need to stay away, or else the troll will reach out of the hole in the well
grab them.
and grab them. And it worked.
And it worked. Oh my gosh, they stayed away from that, and they were so scared if I had to go there. So I had to explain them that troll only took kids.
Only took kids, yeah. Putting the fear of life into our children. That's good parenting.
Well, what about you with Hector Flim Flam?
What about me with Hector Flim Flam? Hector Flim Flam is the king of all elves.
Mm-hmm.
Hector Flim Flam. Flim, Flam. Capital F both times. Hector Flim Flam. And he is the king of all the elves. And, he's not all adults know who he is. Not all adults can see him. But adults of certain status and certain knowledge and openness can both see Hector Flim Flam and communicate quite easily with him. And it is that cooperation between certain adults and Hector Flim Flam that keep children both protected, but also mischievously punished in a less than harmful way when they do something wrong. You guys see what I'm getting at? Hector Flim Flam kept our kids in line for quite a few years. It's like, what? You didn't do this? Or did you do that? Oh, wait till I talk to Hector Flim Flam.
Oh, gosh.
And boy, did that work.
That worked.
I'm almost embarrassed to say how old they were before I started catching on that that's just a bunch of baloney.
But they were so innocent when we lived up north because we were living way out in the country.
Yes.
All that kind of got ruined after a couple of years down in the city.
Well, when you're 17 years old and you still believe in Santa Claus,
it's about time to. Yeah.
I'm joking. They were not. They're not even 17 yet. So.
No. But it's. But anyway, Christmas
I think it's charming. I think it's charming that the kids can keep that fantasy going for as long as possible. Let them be children.
Yeah, and it's normal.
So to those people who say shame on parents for, as they say, lying to their kids about Christmas and Santa Claus, I put it right back on them. Shame on them for not having a little fun with the Christmas tradition. Yeah.
And it's fun because Santa Claus, he comes to the house on Christmas Eve, knocks on the door and comes comes with a big backpack bag with gifts and give it to the kids.
Yeah, I talked with Derek about that earlier. It's and how charming that is. You can actually see in your kids' eyes. It's different than in the States when they sit on Santa's lap for just a few minutes and then they leave. Here in Norway, Santa actually, or julenisse, as he's called here in Norway, actually comes into the house, and the kids get to interact with him.
They get scared. Very often they get scared the first time. Remember
our
daughter, how scared she was the first time she saw that? Oh, my God. And you were Santa that one year. Remember the first year?
That's right.
You dressed up as Santa, and she cried.
That's right.
Poor thing.
Yeah. No, so it's a little difference in the traditions, but Christmas is Christmas. The time for giving is a time for giving. Time for giving, time for reflection, time for love.
Family.
Time for family. And if you don't have a family, so to speak, you can still have a family. I talked about this on a podcast episode with Michelle Higgins and Tiffy, where we talked about how family does not need to mean by blood only. You can have family. Family can be just those who you're closest to, period. So in the spirit of that, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, God Jul, as they say here in Norway. And thank you for coming on the mic, Snoop.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everybody, she says. I have to translate everything she says.
God Jul.
God Jul. Thanks, everybody. Let's break for some more music. This is Coming Home with John Allen on Fresh FM 24.